Welcome everybody back to the DaCraftdeez channel. This is a podcast, YouTube, whatever you want to call it, video, and this is basically for a class that we do called Jordan High School or JHS Creative Communications.
So, in today's episode, we got Mr. Burnside with us. So,
Hello.
we're kind of gonna do an interview with you. So we're gonna start off with a few questions. The first one's gonna be, what and why did you start being a band director?
What and why? Well, so I started band in 5th grade, like a lot of band students, and loved it. And as I was getting into high school, I decided I had a kind of an epiphany one day as a sophomore band student. I remember it very specifically. I was trying kind of daydreaming a little bit, like all good band students do, and was thinking about, what do I want to do with my life? And I started thinking, well, I like helping people. Anytime that I was ever able to tutor or just help somebody work through their schoolwork, which was kind of something that came naturally to me, I really enjoyed that. And then I loved band, and there I was staring right at my band teacher, and I was like, could I do that? And I made that decision kind of end of sophomore year and never looked back. So I love it. It's the best.
Why did you choose JHS as your school of choice?
My school of choice. Like they were all trying to recruit me. Actually, that's not how it went down. So when I graduated college, I applied to about 20 different schools, and that's what you do. You send out tons and tons of applications, and had several interviews, but nobody accepted me, obviously. And so I actually spent my first year as a substitute teacher in a couple different districts. And so I subbed in 4 or 5 different districts, but then I also taught private lessons and just tried to stay busy because I knew that student loans were coming, and also just needed to build up some work experience. And so it was May of 2012. There was an opening here, and I found out they had posted the position on a Monday morning, and I filled out the application. And the Jordan one was a paper application, which was kind of strange because most of them are electronic. I put on a suit, and I drove my application down and handed it in person. And
fancy.
And then it got taken into the interview process. Not then. Later, a couple days later, I got called in for an interview, and the rest is history.
So when you said about like the substitute, were you being like a band substitute teacher, or were you just kind of like what we had back in like a couple years, like a student teacher type of deal?
So student teaching is part of the final stretch of your education major experience, and so I did that. But as a substitute teacher, that's where, okay, Mr. Cook is gone, for instance, and they have to call in a sub, and that was me.
Oh, okay.
So I kept a log of every sub job that I had, and as I started to sub, I made an effort to connect with all the music teachers and say, hey, I'm a music teacher. If you're gone, I can still run rehearsal. And so once the music teachers found out about that, then as they would be sick, they could request specific substitutes, just like our teachers can request specific substitutes. So, but about half of my jobs were not music. So anywhere from elementary and middle school phy-ed to math to science to industrial tech and all that. So wide range of things.
Okay, so we're going to skip a couple questions because you kind of just answered a lot of them for us, but we're going to skip to one of our favorite band trip out of all the ones that you've been to in your 10 years of teaching?
10 years of teaching, yeah.
Which one has been your favorite?
My favorite. Well, I'm going to alter the question just a little bit. So we've taken a trip every even year. So 2014, 2016, 2018, 2020. Well, we were supposed to in 2020. And then New Orleans this last year. And the one that I enjoyed the most from just sightseeing and musical perspective, New Orleans is up there. It's between New Orleans and New York. Those were 2 really, really awesome experiences. We got to play more on the New Orleans trip, which I appreciated because the students, like that's a highlight for students. The New York trip, we didn't get to do a whole lot of playing. Personally, I still think about the 2016 Chicago trip because that's the only trip that I've done so far where it's been just band. So it was me with just the band students headed to Chicago, and we did a bunch of really awesome sightseeing things and performances. But it wasn't with the choir, and I'm nothing against the choir kids, but band kids are my people. Band people are my people, and so that was special in its own way. Winnipeg would have been that, but
Really?
yeah, Winnipeg would have been a band trip, but just
Unlucky.
a band trip. Yeah,
Well,
Sad.
they're all fun. They all have their ups.
well,
Yeah,
our
only
favorite
ups.
for us, our favorite. We only went to one band trip, of course, which is New Orleans, and our favorite memory for that was the time where we stopped to eat. I think it was eat lunch.
The
and
ramen story.
It was we call it the ramen story. So for like the first 30 minutes of the hour we had, we were trying to find the ramen store or like some type of noodle store. And we walked past it like 3 times. So when we got sat down and ordered, you know, we had Nick Schmidt there and like some other choir students, which were on our bus. And we didn't get our lunch or until like 10 minutes when we were supposed to be back on the bus. So we got our lunch. We inhaled it all, and we were 5 minutes late to the bus. And we can remember running through the mall, down the stairs where we thought we parked, and the buses were gone. And we're like,
Uh-oh.
yeah, we were panicking for a bit. So we sprinted down the hall, an area, like street, I think. And we saw the buses parked there, and you guys waited for only us 3 because I think that was the one time where I think Nick Schmidt, I hope he did this, he said, oh, these 3 weren't on the bus. Can we stop and wait for them? And so when you guys stopped for us, we kind of sprinted across the streets of New Orleans, a busy street, and got on the bus.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
we didn't even get to finish our food. That
Brandon
was the
just walked.
Yeah, we were like hurt. We were trying to get him to move, but he didn't want to walk. He just wanted to walk, and we were panicking. But
Yeah, you're only ever late one time, and then you realize, oh, I held up the whole show. So it's because it's a little embarrassing.
we got booed when we walked on that
you
bus.
get booed. Yes.
So
Favorite band trip memory.
Favorite band trip memory? It's kind of tied to the favorite band trip, I suppose. Well, again, many to choose from. I think I'll go with a more recent one. On the New Orleans trip, being able to perform in that Cajun restaurant was a lot of fun with the jazz band, but it was fun because it was our group, but we were still kind of intermixed and mingled with some of the New Orleans residents, and hearing that Cajun band, that was a lot of fun. And all of a sudden, Chase is grabbing the washboard and up there doing a washboard solo,
with
and
the
we're
spoons and
with
everything.
and spoons and just like interfaced right away with these musicians that we've known for 15 minutes or whatever. And but like that was neat from a couple different perspectives, because it was just somebody who has a music background, able to interface with people they've never met because of their musicianship, and but then also it was just a lot of fun. I don't normally listen to Cajun music, and that was a new sound that was pretty entertaining. So yeah, and then just lots of little moments in there.
Well, since you said you never listened to Cajun music, what out of all the musics you played or conducted, I know it's gonna be hard, which one have you had the most fun playing or conducting?
Playing or conducting, because those are different.
I know they're different, but
Those
like,
are
okay, I mean, like sometimes for conducting, you'll sometimes play and help us a bit. So like, I'm gonna say that kind of for both. So
as a conductor, some of the more there's just like there's certain things that you like to play as saxophonists. Conductors, you depending on who you talk to, they might like the more like the mixed meter pieces where there's constantly changing time signatures and kind of I call it doing a dance through different time signatures. Some people really like that. Other people like the more expressive lyrical pieces, and so I've always appreciated both. I think one of the musical highlights for me was conducting a piece called "Grant Them Eternal Rest" by Andrew Boyson Jr. We did that in 2018. It was our contest piece that year, and it was about. Actually, it was 2016 because it was the 15-year anniversary of September 11th, and it was the no, I take that back. It's 27. Okay, it doesn't matter what year it was, but it's a multi-movement piece about September 11th, and there was singing involved. There was a bunch of percussion that we don't normally get to use, including water glasses, and the part where you have to invert a cymbal on top of a timpani, and it gets this really cool sound. Bunch of solo moments. There's a really beautiful piano part. It was a musical highlight, and for the students in that band generation, they really connected with that piece. So,
I mean, speaking with contests, we got a story for you. You don't know this, but last year's contest, we I don't know, was it Witch and the Saint? I think no one played Alto 2 because everyone was playing Alto 1. I think it was one person who had Alto 2, and I can remember you telling us not to play Alto 2 of the day of the contest. So we said, you know what? Let's do it.
We first read it on stage and played it flawlessly.
And yeah, so we never told you that, but there you go. So
switching the parts the day of. Well, I remember last year trying to just stay on top of assigning parts for the saxophone hive, as I called it. There's just a lot of saxophonists and making sure that we cover all the parts, and there was just a lot of flip-flopping for various reasons. And so I appreciate it, gentlemen. I appreciate you filling in the gap, because that was an important part.
Well, I mean, no one else was going to play it, and you said don't, and we were like, well, you know, we kind of already know how the song goes and the tempo and, like, everything. So it's like, it's just different notes. So we only managed to get through one page of it. So we had the second, I think it was 3 pages, or I think it was 3. So we only had, like, not a lot, but we still played. It was so much fun because we were kind of, one, it was disobeying your, you know, what you told us not to do, but it was just more fun. Like, you know, let's have fun with it.
Yeah.
Sounded better.
Kind of.
We need all parts to make the music work.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think for the last question is, what was your best memory about us two from start of 8th grade? Was it 8th grade for us, or was it 7th grade? 8th grade to last year.
Well,
there's a lot.
I think there's a lot. I think when I think of Noner and Wiedemann, I think it's so clear to me. So this is where I get a little more. I don't know. This is very. I hope to be very genuine here. Like, it's so clear that you guys are really good friends, and that is so cool to see, because as I interact with a lot of different students, friendships aren't always so visible, and sometimes it's even like visibly it looks the opposite, and then you're like, oh, aren't you friends with so-and-so? Like, oh yeah, we're friends. I'm like, it doesn't seem like it. You don't even talk to each other. You don't even acknowledge each other. So you guys are on the other end of the spectrum. You're like, hey bro, how you doing? You know, kind of, and like you're just such good buddies, and you connect in a bunch of different ways that, if as an outside observer, I'm like, I guess I kind of don't get it, but I'm so glad that you guys are buddies. So that's something I've always just thought of, is your friendship and with each other, and also both of you guys are always smiling. Like there's just always a grin on your face, and that's really cool too. So and that's been a consistent.
We're always up to something, yeah.
Well, that could be it. Maybe you're smiling because you know something I don't, which is probably very true. So.
Well, we talk a lot during band.
Yeah.
I mean, I can remember my favorite memories between me, Noner, and you was just I can't remember what year it was, but it was where you and me, Noner, did was it last year or 2 years ago, where we sat in the practice room and you would just open it was last year, right? It was last year.
I think so.
Yeah, we skipped like most of the band. We weren't having fun at that point because it was kind of like boring, so we kind of just wanted to have a break for a bit. So, and then you were just walking and being like, come on, get into the class. And we're like, aw. That was one of my.
Yeah. Well, last year, too, was a retransition year back from COVID, so people were there was an abundance of emotions from different students. It brought out some different things that I don't know if that was affecting you or not, but
well,
the return to what in-person band every day looks like.
Well, for me, there's another one actually. Where during COVID, we were supposed to be like 6 feet and stuff. I remember we did not take that at all.
Doesn't surprise me.
We sat right next to each other every day, and you did not care whatsoever. So
there's also, depending upon the time in COVID, there was a time like there was also as COVID continued to we progressed through the year, there was a decision as the teachers were trying to figure out what to do for enforcing or not enforcing that distance, the social distance aspect, because that none of us got into teaching to keep you apart from each other. Like that was not fun at all. And the prerogative at the time was, okay, well, these guys are kind of in the same friend group, the same social circle, so that's fine. Or they're going to be riding the cross-country bus together, the track bus together. Like, they're already swapping aerosols. So, yeah, depending upon the time of COVID, that's kind of what I relinquished that. That wasn't a goal for me. It was never to be the COVID police. Keep us safe, yes, but never to be the COVID police. So, yeah.
Well, I think that's kind of all we got. Do you have any questions, Noner?
Nope.
No? Well, thank you, Mr. Burnside, for letting us use your recording stuff, because we can't really do this online. So we're in person doing this, but thank you for letting us use your stuff. And yeah.
It's fun chatting.
Special thanks to Brandon Rasmussen from My Nights at Freddy's for helping us out by getting some of the questions for the interview.
Hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please do hit the like, subscribe to the channel. Also, check out the Jordan High School Creative Communications YouTube channel. That'll be popped in somewhere in the screen. And also check out their Twitter as well, if Twitter is not down by then, of course. So, thank you all for watching. Crafty, can you say bye?
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Croissant.